Hi everybody, I'm Terry. I'm an addict. Uh, I came into recovery in 1995 by way of another fellowship. Well, to be honest with you, I don't differentiate. I go where I need to go. I mean, if you're around for a period of time, you'll find yourself in other parts of the world where you have to go to where you have to go to get what you need. And I've always done that. I don't differentiate. I go where it says 12. It's probably got something to do with me, so I mosey along. I came by way of another fellowship, and in 1995, uh, my story is one of jails and institutions. Uh, I grew up in a mining village in a place called Rotherham, South Yorkshire. If anybody can't understand the word I'm saying, it's because I'm actually from God's country, which is Yorkshire. Uh, I don't apologise, but I do realise that sometimes it's a little difficult to understand what I'm saying. It's not intentional. It's just something that happens to me when I feel relaxed. I feel relaxed within Cocaine Anonymous. So if you don't understand, let me know. Yeah, I grew up in a mining village in Rotherham, South Yorkshire. The family I was placed with were they were working class. Nobody really had anything, and they got by and they lived day to day, making what they could and moving along. A lot of my family was directly cut down the middle. One side was military, and the other side was villains. And funnily enough, I was attracted more towards the more exciting part of life, which wasn't laying on your belly shooting at people. It was making money and taking part in the fast life. I learned pretty early on that everybody expected me to make mistakes, and my father was overbearing, and so ideally, I was expected to make mistakes, and even if I did anything right, it was translated into worthless and nothing. I have to be honest and say that my father was mentally ill, but I didn't know that for many years. His sins come to light, but you know. I lived with that in the early part of my life, in the formative years of my life. I learned that making mistakes was as acceptable. And you know what? Fuck it, I could do that. I could make mistakes. I could be the person that I wanted to be. I wanted to be that person that was involved in everything. And it was quite common for me. I mean, at 15 years old, I remember one incident being in a nightclub, and I started a fight, and everybody liked me. I gravitated to people that could look after themselves, and they all liked me for some reason. I can't explain it, but they did. And I gravitated towards these people. And I started a fight in a nightclub. And I also remember all these big strapping men and women all fighting in the pile in the middle. And I crawled out from from underneath them and went up. That was the way that my life was. I got into trouble, and people used to bail me out. Uh, I think round about 15, 16 years of age, I started to gravitate towards these career criminals. Well, they like me, and I learned pretty early on that if I behaved in a way which, you know, today doesn't seem like sense, but back then it was easy. Making mistakes was part of my makeup, let's say. And I gravitated towards these career criminals who seem to like me, and the more extreme I behave, the more they like me. So I'd found my tribe. I'd found my tribe, and do you know what? I'm sat here now, and I'm talking about this, and it was such a long time ago that I'm actually quite embarrassed. I found my tribe, and I found way and a place to be, and that's what I did for many years. I was in and out of institutions. Every time I went into an institution, I would put myself back together. I would hit the gym. I'd get myself a cleaning job, uh, and I'd be the best cleaner that I could possibly be. Think not for any other reason that actually it was a good job, and I was allowed to go to the gym twice a day, 7 days a week. So that was the job that I did, taking care of myself and cleaning my landing obsessively. Whenever an opportunity to take drugs came along, I took it. Well, in hindsight, I say that now I took it. There was never really any thought process went into it. It was just, it went hand in hand with the life that I led. Taking drugs, getting into trouble, the adrenaline side of life seemed to go hand in hand with the way I lived my life. And I found drugs and sometimes alcohol. You know, when I was given my liberty back, I used to drink excessively. In fact, I had stomach ulcers at 19 years of age, but I had none of the thought processes which has come to me since I've been in recovery that would prohibit any of that kind of behaviour. I just did things. And I remember I was to go on and serve probably about 12 and a half years in institutions, in and out. Everybody's friend, because obviously, you know, they like you even better if you don't tell tales about them. So I went to prison. I did my time, and I found my tribe. And I remember one day I'd been transferred on good order and discipline. I spent a period of time in solitary confinement in an institution in Doncaster, near Rotherham, South Yorkshire, and whilst I was in this institution, I got my ideal job, landing cleaner. I had about 8 foot of landing that I used to have to clean on a regular basis, and it was down to me to make sure that this bit of landing was the most presentable bit of land. It was my job to clean that landing, and in return, I got to use the gym in the morning and in the afternoon. And I gave it everything I got, because it was essential that I could go to the gym and just work on me, get myself, pull myself back together. Don't know why this were important, because like I say, with hindsight, you get a lot more clarity. And it's since that time that I've started to understand a few things about balance and what I shouldn't do. But I had this bit of landing, and I gave it my all. I kept it clean, and I was obsessed about this bit of landing. And I remember one day I just cleaned my landing, and I saw this guy come up the stairs up onto the threes landing, and he came around the corner and walked straight across my landing. And initially, I was furious. Who the hell do you think you are, walking on my bit? And as this guy came towards me, I knew him. I recognised him, but he looked different. I didn't know it. I was startled. And as he came towards me, I did know him. He was a guy just like me. He'd grown up in institutions. In fact, I'd met him in many prisons across the country. And on this occasion, something was different. Now, I hadn't seen this guy for a long time. And in my experience, when you don't see people for a long time, especially people like me that meet up in different institutions and grow up together. Well, I say grow up, but you know, that live together in different prisons, and you don't see them for a period of time. What tends to happen historically is that the authorities they come mob-handed, cart them off, and stick them in an isolated environment, and we inject them with Largactil and stuff like that, things to keep them quiet. Because I hasten to add that actually I wasn't a very nice person back then, and you know what? If there was more than one of them, I'd get excited. If there was potential of having a fight with more than one prison officer, I used to get excited about it, because actually it was them and us. Fuck you, fuck it, and fuck them. That was the attitude. And I saw this guy, and he came towards me, but something was different. And I said, I haven't seen you for a while. He said, yeah, I've been on a rehabilitation wing. And I said, rehabilitation? I said, what's that? And he said, it's to address my drug and alcohol and criminal behaviour. And I thought, it's another one of them government initiatives where you anger management and stuff like that. And it was good to see him, and I had a conversation with him, and we talked at length for quite a few weeks, and he was trying to impress upon me about this 12-step program. And curiosity got me, and I asked him. I said, 12-step program. Tell me about this 12-step program, because I like the guy. I like the guy. Always had. But he kept banging on about this 12-step program, and he said, well, first of all, you have to admit you're powerless over your addiction. I just thought, powerless? I'm a strong, capable person. What the fuck have they done to you? I thought they'd had him in torture confinement and injected him with some kind of mind-altering, thought-numbing drug, and I just thought, you poor bastard. And he said you've got to admit that you're powerless over your addiction. I said, powerless? What do you mean powerless? He said, well, you know, using against your will. And straight away my illness kicked in, and I just thought, powerless over me? I could stop any time. You know, it's not a problem. I could stop any time. And I've since come to realise that, you know, I didn't have any of the information necessary to make an informed decision at all. I just did what I did because it's what I did. And he said, and that your life's become unmanageable. And I said, unmanageable? What does that mean? Then he said, well, you're in prison. And instantly I got offended. Well, it's obvious I'm in prison. Do you know what I mean? Why do you need to bring that up? And he tried at length for quite a while to impress upon me the necessity of this 12-step program in his life, and I thought there must have been some powerful drugs they've given him. And he didn't relinquish. He didn't wither. He just kept turning up. He kept coming back. And one day he came towards me with a big wad of papers, and he gave me this wad of papers, and a bit unusual papers. I thought the depositions. Perhaps he's told a tale on somebody, and he wants to confide in me. And I just thought, oh, really? And he gave me this wad of papers, and he said, that's my step one. He said, I want you to have a read of it. And I thought, he ain't fucking going away. So I took his step one, and I took it back to my cell, and didn't read it that day. I read it on later on that night, and there was honesty, the likes of which I had never ever experienced from anybody, not even from a family member, in that step one. And he robbed me to the core, because I just thought, what the fucking, does he think I'm some kind of fucking sex offender? Do you know what I mean? Some kind of alien. And I had a reaction to his brutal honesty. He attacked my illness. His honesty attacked my illness, and it drove me to despair. It drove me to you know, the old fight and flight. Well, I wanted to fight because I just thought, no, he's got this all wrong. I might have been away for 5 years, but you know what? It's not that bad. So I waited well the following morning. As soon as my door were open, I went over to his cell. I gave him his step one by, and I said, listen, mate, I don't know what you think is happening here, but actually, I live over there. You live over here. Don't come near me, and I won't come near you. And he took his step one, and he was just about to turn and walk away, and he stopped. And he said, I can understand why you've reacted like that, but what I need you to know is that, yeah, I'm over here. He said, if you ever need me, just ask. And he turned and he walked. And that really surprised me. It wasn't until I walked away and I thought about it, I processed it. I walked away. It wasn't until I walked away and I just thought, that was weird. Because this guy could have a fight, and he never reacted. He never reacted. I didn't know it at the time, but I know today that guy spoke to my spirit. I didn't even know I had a spirit. I never knew that I had one. But I know, with the gift of hindsight, that guy had spoken to my spirit, and something unusual had happened. My spirit heard him, and I decided the following morning. Well, he wasn't a thought process. I got up the following morning, and I used to get up, do my routines, make sure everything was impeccable in my cell. My cell is my cell, by the way, and everything was exactly. There was a place for everything. Everything was regimented. Everything. I now know that's OCD, by the way, and I made sure everything was sorted out, and I stood at the end of my bed between my door and my bed, and I had this thought came to me, and I thought, I've only got 9 months left to serve, and they've got to let me go, because I served nearly 5 years. Well, all of a 5-year sentence, because I've lost all my remission in the time that I'd been away, because I did it my way. Yeah, I did it my way. I lost the law and thought that actually that was some kind of victory on my part. It didn't even occur to me that actually I'd lost even more liberty that I needed to doing it my way. And then I thought to myself, I've got 9 months left to serve. And then this voice, I had this voice that said to me, what are you getting excited for? You'll be back. You always come back. And I cried that day for the first time in ever such a long time. I don't know if anybody else relates to this, but I used to take drugs and behave in certain ways to head off certain thoughts and feelings. Anything that made me feel uncomfortable, I'd either get angry or I'd push it down with some more drugs. I'd push it down with the behaviour. I never, ever took time to sit in a moment. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I cried that day for the first time in a long, long time. And something really unnatural had happened. I reached out and I pushed my buzzer, and a female officer came to the door, and she said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I've got a problem with drugs and alcohol, and I need help." And I don't even know where these words came from, because it wasn't part of my vocabulary. I need help, and I don't know where it came from, but that's what happened. That's what happened. I asked for help, and she said, "Right, I'm going to get you an application." Well, I don't know what it's like over there, guys, but over here, what happens is you put an application in. Say, I don't know, say you're new in prison, you get yourself a cell and there's no pillow, or there's bedding missing. What you need to do is put an application in, and it takes them 6 weeks to reply to your application and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we haven't got any." And as soon as she said you need to put an application and put it in the SO's box, which is senior officer, I thought to myself, yeah, that's the last I'm going to hear of that. And I put the application in, and 2 days later, two prison officers came to me door and said, "Right, get your stuff together." And I said, I haven't done anything. What's happening? And they said, "You put an application in to go on a rehabilitation wing." He said, "You need to get your stuff together." This was unprecedented in my experience. They never gave me anything, and I never gave them anything. It was fuck you, fuck them, fuck it. It was a big bag of fuck it's. My life. It was like that. I kept myself to myself, and I did it my way, and I lost every time. And on this occasion, I had a different experience. And I went on to this drug rehabilitation wing, and the minute I went round the corner, say I had loads of reservations. I would make your reservations up from one side of the prison to the other, and I'm just thinking, well, they can't understand me. I can't understand. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Norfolk, but they talk weird. Yeah? They can't understand me. I can't understand them. So really, we don't even have to have any dialogue. I can just exist in that nice, calm, relaxed environment, and I can see what it's all about. And I went through one gate, turned a corner, and the first guy that I met as I went onto this wing was he was more a Yorkshireman than I am. And he spoke to me in the broadest Yorkshire accent I've heard for a long, well, I had heard for a long time at that time. And he said, hello lad, how are you?" And it blew me away, because I just thought to myself, bastard, that's that reservation out the window. And this guy actually sat me down in the next coming weeks, and he sat down. He said, "How long have you actually served in prison?" And do you know what, guys? It never even occurred to me how long I'd actually been in prison. We totted it all up, and it came to 12 and a half years. 12 and a half years of my life just gone, and I never ever stopped to assess the fact that actually, well, I wasn't capable. I wasn't capable of processing the wheres and the whys and wherewithals of everything. I just did things. I just did things. There was never ever any thought process that went into things. I just did things, and the solution to everything that happened in my life was taking drugs, drinking alcohol, and acting in antisocial behaviours. And it turned out I'd been in prison for 12 and a half years, and this guy, I'll be forever grateful to him. His name was Brendan. He was from a place called Bradford, and he was a very, very influential part of my early days of recovery. One of the other guys that gave me a lot of help was he was a guy from Stevie Bland. He was a guy from Newcastle. He had the biggest, meanest scar down the side of his face, and he was a big guy. And to look at him and just think, I'm just going to stay away from him, because he looks a bit psychotic. And he was one of the gentlest people that I've ever met. He was so not the way he looked. And that was another experience that I hadn't experienced, because in normal location, everybody had an attitude. Everybody had the big bag of fuck it's attitude. And on this wing, these people, things were different. Some of them I actually knew. Some of them, like the other guy, had been people that I'd grown up with in institutions, and I I just thought, sod it, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to remain curious. I'm not going to make any snap decisions. I'm just going to have this process and see where it goes. And I remember I went from finding out how long I'd actually served in prison, like it had happened to somebody else, to learning about feelings and emotions. I don't know what it's like over there, but I had to learn feelings and emotions with pictures. Yeah, yeah, that's how I feel. That one there at the bottom, that's how I feel. And do you know what? I didn't have a clue what that expression meant. I just used to pick things and I made it up, and because I kind of felt that it was important to know how I felt. I just didn't know. I had no idea. I have no idea. I don't know if anybody IDs with this, but I spent the first 3 years of my recovery thinking everybody were talking about me. The second three talking about everybody else, and the third three trying to put a life together. And I don't know where I am today. Perhaps I'll tell you that in another 2 years' time when I climax at 20. However, it was a very, very confusing time. There have been times in recovery where I just thought to myself, what the hell is all this about? And at that time, I learned to come to grips with emotions by way of pictures. There's been a lot of other stuff come from since that time, guys, but that's how it started. And I have to be honest and say that, you know, prayer and meditation, yeah, I did try it, but I couldn't for the life of me sit still. I really couldn't. I got clean, and shit, you know, I vibrated for quite a long time. At least for the first 10 years of my recovery, I vibrated. I felt ill at ease with everything. But do you know what? I know today that actually I had to go through that stuff. I had to get to grips with what was the matter with me. I had to accept the fact that actually I'm not somebody that can take his eye off the ball. I have to work this program in my life because this is serious shit. I don't want to go back to where I came from. And right here, right now, I'm grateful for the life that I've received as a result of being in recovery. There are some stuff going off in the background. However, on the whole, I'm quite content. You know, happiness, it filters in, it filters out. It's usually something I did rather than something I didn't do. But happiness is part of my normal state of mind. Yeah, I learned emotions with pictures. I learned relationships with other people. I found that quite difficult as well. I have to be honest. I still do, if I'm honest. I have to put effort in. I have to reach out. I have to engage with people, because my knee-jerk reaction to everything and everybody is isolation. I spent a lot of years on my own, but I have to combat this stuff by engaging and going to meetings and taking part in the recovery process. And that's not just looking spectacular and oh, I've got to do this, so they think that. It's not even about them. It's about me. It's about me. It's about my life, and it's about what I give back to the world, because I do owe an amends. And my recovery process is about giving back. My life now is about being selfless rather than selfish, because I worked for a lot of years. I didn't even know that till I came into recovery. I'm learning feelings, I'm learning emotions, and I'm learning that actually, if I don't have some bad ones, how do I know when I'm having good ones? Yeah. I mean, surely to God, being off your head with happiness every day of the week is more in line with taking drugs. My reality today is I accept that I have a wide and broad range of it's like a kaleidoscope of feelings, and I embrace every single one of them as part of who I am, as part of how I should be, as part of what I need to do. I embrace them because it's all relevant. I'm having an experiential journey, and it's all part of it. So I'm coming to terms with feelings. Shit, you know, I'd rather have good feelings, but you know what? It's not always within my remit to have these good feelings. Sometimes I have to have some bad feelings as well. So I think, in fairness, the first 10 years of my recovery was a bit of a mishmash. I went from the rehabilitation wing where I learned some stuff. Oh, I forgot to mention as well. Yeah, it came to light that actually I'd had a bunch of children as well whilst I'd been in institutions, and I had an overwhelming desire to have these kids back in my life. I had an overwhelming desire to have them back in my life because actually take the drugs and alcohol away and the funky behaviours and you know what? I've discovered that I'm quite a sensitive guy for all its ups and downs. It's who I am. It's the way God made me, and I have to accept it because pretending to be anything other than I am is taking me straight back to my illness. So I accept it. I accept that I'm sensitive. Uh, my children, I have 5 children. I have 4 of them back in my life. One of them came back to me recently. A mum committed suicide through this illness. She jumped in front of a train, and I went to see this child when well, I went to see them all when I got out of prison, and I first of all I told them how it was, what I was doing, and then I sat and I listened, and for the better part, it was received with loving compassion and care. And there was two children that were taught. I mean, my eldest son, he's never really had any experience because I really have been absent throughout his life. He was born whilst I was in prison, and I never really saw. I saw him once. I saw him once as a small boy, and he just in passing. He was at his mum's. I went to see him, and he was resistant to the possibility of having a father, and he didn't engage at all. And I went to see him when I got out of prison, and he told me to fuck off, and he shot me with a BB gun. And do you know what? That broke my heart. That did, because do you know what, they were apart with? They felt, well, I'm in recovery now. Things should be different. But do you know what? It was his choice. I had to listen, and we've had no contact since. I always remain open to a relationship with Liam, but he has a choice, just the same as I do. I can keep the door open. That's all I can do. Uh, my other four children. I mean, I spoke of another child whose mum had just jumped in front of a train. It took 17 years for this child to entertain the possibility of having a relationship with her father, and he came by way of strange circumstances. I said that a mum had jumped in front of a train. Well, it was because of this act that she turned to her dad, because she since had a child, and since her mum died, she came to realise that actually I was all that was left of her parents, and she felt that the little boy, Malachi, his name is, he should know his granddad because I was all that was left of her parents. She has come to stay at my house. We have opened the doors to a relationship, and at this point, it's ongoing. I'm forever grateful, because you know what? Sometimes climbing these mountains can be fucking so high. You just keep slogging away and sitting for a while, and then carrying on and sitting for a while, and then you finally see the top, and once you're up there, and it's like, what do I do now? Right? What do I do now? Now I'm up here. It's strange. It's strange, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to be that significant part of Tyler's life, and yeah, it's ongoing. Liam is still resistant to any sort of relationship, and everybody else I see on a regular basis, because you know what, recovery's taught me that actually there was some shit that went off in my drunken drug state that you don't get to walk away, and I choose not to walk away. I take financial commitments towards these kids very, very seriously. I pay maintenance on a regular basis to the dependents. I mean, some of them are grown up. I mean, my eldest daughter, Gemma, she's a midwife, and she did that despite me. My eldest son, Liam, he's a warehouse manager. I mean, yeah, he may not want a relationship with his dad, but he's still my son. And I'm grateful for that opportunity just to take even if I can just take a look, even if I can just watch them grow. It's enough. It is enough because had I carried on the way I had been doing, I, 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 I probably wouldn't have seen any of it. And I probably would. My conscience would not have surfaced for any period of time, which would have allowed me to be aware of the things that were going on for me. And today I'm aware, and today I'm grateful for that. I'll take what I can get. If I can't get what I want, I'll take what I can get. It has to be enough. Uh, I'm heading towards some stuff now, guys. This is really difficult stuff. Uh, Present day, I always try to remain active within fellowship. It's something I've always done. I mean, like I said, I spent the early part of my recovery in another fellowship, and I, at 3 years clean and sober, I was a regional delegate. Uh, it's something I've always done. It's just something that was bred into me in early days of recovery by way of strong sponsorship, and I've always done it, and things have remained okay. So actually, it's probably a good idea that if I carry on doing the things I've done to get to present day, that everything's going to be okay. Uh, Present day, uh, yeah. I had an incident in 2015. My wife Anna was diagnosed with breast cancer, and do you know what? You spend time in recovery, and things go swimmingly for long periods of time, and then something comes along. I mean, I met this woman, right, and do you know what? She taught me that I could love. She taught me that I could be loved. She taught me that actually I was a human being. Sometimes I make mistakes, and sometimes I excel in my potential of being a human being. And I met this woman, and you know what? For the first time in my life, I felt that somebody got me. She didn't try to change me. She accepted me for who I was, for all my airs and graces, and so I married her in June of 2012. I married her. I married her. Uh, we we only spent a short period of time together. I mean, I got married in 2012, and by 2015, I didn't know it at the time, but it's just something that came and presented itself in my life. And by April of 2015, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we we went off to all the appointments and had all the tests and everything, and it was decided that she would have a mastectomy. And Anna was a very strong-minded woman, and she was very resistant to chemotherapy, and she had it in her heart that what she wanted to do was go to a cancer therapy unit in Hungary. And now I'm quite an active businessman. I am a very capable person. I mean, I'd invested a lot of money in a property, and so when this situation presented itself, I found myself on my back foot. I was financially committed to such an extent that finding the money to take Anna to the cancer therapy unit was it was a little bit out of my reach. And some of the people that I'd met since I've been in recovery are also quite capable people. And I turned to my friends, and I asked for help. And one guy in particular I'm going to say his name because I'll be forever ever grateful to this guy. Uh, Clive Sang. If you meet him, say hello from me. He's one of God's very own. I went to see him and I told him the situation, and he went upstairs and he took the money for the cancer therapy unit from his safe and he gave it me, and he said, "Just take her." And I said, "I don't know when I'm going to be able to give you back, Clyde." He said, "Don't worry about that." He said, "Just take her, look after your wife." So I took her, and within 3 days of getting to the cancer therapy unit, she started to fade. She started to fade away, and to be honest with you guys, I never experienced anything like this. I've never been available to experience anything like this in my life. And this was a big one of me. And I'm not saying I'm over it. I'm not saying that I ever will be. I kind of feel that actually she's going to be with me for the rest of my life. But you know what? It was big stuff for me. This was where I got to find out exactly what I've been doing, exactly what recovery stood for, and I did what was necessary. I did what I mean. When you're in a foreign country and you're on your own, I was it was a hospital on the mountains in Hungary, and there was no meetings, there was no telephone signal. We were on our own in that environment, and all I could do was pray a lot, loads of silence, loads of meditation, and we stayed there for 2 weeks. And it wasn't a very enjoyable. I don't know if anybody's ever done palliative care, but actually, it turns out I didn't realise it at the time. It turns out that I was doing it at that time, and we went from the cancer therapy unit in Effects to Rome, and we went to an hospital appointment, and we decided that she was going to take chemotherapy because the possibility of her combating this illness was becoming quite apparent that she was bang in trouble. And we came back to England. We went to see about chemotherapy, and as soon as she started on chemotherapy, bless her, she was right. He just didn't agree with her. She got an infection, and she never really surfaced. She never really surfaced, and she was diagnosed in April, and by November she passed away. Uh, Palliative care is not one of my most joyous memories, but I have done it, and I shoot you know that when I've found out that actually this stuff is really beneficial. It's not just about fucking shooting off here or shooting off there and presenting yourself as spectacular. I mean, because you look at me, the fact of the matter is sometimes when you're on your own, it means so much more than spectacular. And that was one of those times. Anna died in November, and I took care of the arrangements. Just all the readings I'd heard, that we will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. That's true, so true. I, I just took instinctively. I knew what to do. I did it, and I walked through it exactly the same way as I had through my life. That the thought process. It didn't even. I just knew what to do. I arranged a funeral in Corbin, where we live, and I also went to Manchester, which is quite a way away from where we lived, and he arranged another ceremony in Manchester where I scattered her ashes on her mum's grave because that's where she wanted to go. It was of paramount importance to honour my wife's memory by because we did talk. She told me exactly what she wanted. She told me the girl even tried to find me a girlfriend before she died. Immense. I mean, you know what? I didn't really want to hear that, but actually, that was she loved me without reservation. She loved me without reservation, and for that, I'll remain forever grateful. I found love in this lifetime. I know how to love. I know how to receive love, and I'll be grateful to that woman for that. A little while after, I mean, for the preceding month or so after Anna passed away, I found it really difficult. I have to be honest, guys, and tell you that I thought to myself, "What the fuck, God? Why would you take her from me?" I found out some stuff since that time. I went to a Unity event in a place called Borehamwood in England, and I met some friends, all part of the service structure. It was a Unity event, and I walked into this Unity event because I just thought to myself, well, that's the safest place for me to be, get in the middle and be a part of. Because I did feel vulnerable, I'm not going to lie, I did feel vulnerable, and using drugs, it did occur to me, it did. Because actually, there were a time when I just thought my life's come to an end here. Yeah, my life was exactly the way I always wished it to be, and then it changed. It changed, and I did consider using drugs for a nano second, and I went into the network of my protection, and I stood among my fellows, and they surrounded me. And I remember walking into this Unity event, and a guy came towards me, big black man, Ricky his name is, and he said, "Tell," he said, "it's good to see you," and he said, "We need your help." And I just thought, oh, for fuck's sake, my wife just died. Can you not see what I'm going through? I'm grateful for him coming towards me and saying those things. I couldn't see it at the time; it was pretty dark. However, however, he came towards me and he said, "Listen," he said, "we need your help. The merchandise chair for UK 23 is under the commitment in," and I was like, and he said, "Will you do it?" And I said, I'm going through some stuff at the minute, Ricky." He said, "Listen, it'll do you a world of good. Get involved." So I stood and I thought about it, and I thought to myself, well, at least I'll know what I'm going to be doing till the end of March. And we had a quick group conference because there was some other people there from the convention committee. We had a quick committee meeting. They did a vote, and I was voted in as the merchandise chair for UK 23. And it was a foregone conclusion that I knew what I was doing, because selling people things to people that they don't really want is actually one of my gifts. And, we got a service committee together, and I got some people that I've known for quite a while in recovery, and we had an immense time. It was a time of giggles, laughter, and foolery. We did our job to the very best of our ability, and guess what? Everything we purchased in the name of that in the name of Cocaine Anonymous and that particular convention, we sold everything. We didn't take anything on. We sold the lot because we had a good time doing it. I spent some time with some friends, and we giggled. We giggled through the whole experience. And I remember being stood in this auditorium, and I don't know if anybody relates to this, but I can go into a room full of people, and if one person in that room's not feeling too good, I gravitate towards them. And I saw somebody in the middle of this auditorium, and I just thought, I've got to speak to him. And I went over to him and I said, "Are you all right, mate?" And he said, "Well, I'm in a foreign country." He said, "I don't really know anybody." And he said, "I'm a little bit overwhelmed." So I gave him a hug and I said, "I'm Terry." And he said, "I'm Eric." Not Eric. He, he, he said, "I'm Eric." He said, "It's lovely to meet you." And I said, "Eric, I noticed you've got an American accent." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you know Lulu?" And he said, "Yeah, I do." And I said, "Yeah, I know Lulu." And then I saw another guy, and I said, "Joe," I thought, right, hook him up. And I saw another guy, and I said, "Joe, come and meet this guy here." And he said, "I can't stop telling." He said, "I'm looking for somebody to do a workshop." I said, "What's his name?" He said, "Eric." I said, "This is him." "Did you tell me there's no God?" I said, "This is him." So he went off and did his workshop, and afterwards we went to a meeting. What was that name? Scabias, AME, I can't remember anyway. But we went off to another meeting in a church. Do you know what, Eric? I can't even remember that we were in a church. If I'm honest, things were a bit confusing back then. But I remember we went off to another meeting, and we spent some time together, and we ended up chatting. and Eric suggested that he had some friends that were putting together the World Convention in Chicago, and if he could arrange it, would I come over and do some service? And I just thought, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll do that, because then that takes up some more of my time, so at least I'll know what I'm doing. Yeah, because if you're going to share at a World Convention, least of all you can do is be clean. Yeah, and I said, yeah, of course I'll do it, and I thought I'm never going to hear from him again. And then I got an email from a guy from across the water, asking me if I could come and do some workshops. And I said, yeah, not a problem. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, they're never going to let me into that country. And do you know what? Do you know what? I put in a visa Esther, and yeah, I was permitted access. Uh, I shared in Chicago 10, 11, and 12. A beautiful experience, but alongside there is, it's not even about the convention for me, guys. It's about what happened in that time. I was able to go to the convention, and I spent the whole time I was there in the presence of a wonderful man, a guy that fucking introduced me to myself. Because, like I said, for the first 10 years of my recovery, I vibrated. I didn't know, I never knew which direction I was going. I vibrated, I was ill at ease with myself. And then I met this guy. And, you know, with the gift of hindsight, it's a bit like a crystal ball. With the gift of hindsight, you get to look back and you can quite easily see what was happening. What was happening for me at that time is this guy I met at 10 years. He introduced me to myself. He introduced me to my true self. A guy called Richie L. Uh, I spent the whole of that convention in the presence of this guy, and I'm forever grateful for that, because Richie's no longer with us. He was diagnosed with cancer. Well, it was before we even went to the convention. It was before it was really difficult, because, you know, my experience had been that you know, it was quite tragic that actually Anna had been diagnosed, but she was gone, and then Richard had been diagnosed with it, and it's like, oh mate, well, I can, do you know what I mean? I don't really know how to explain it. I don't really know how I got to present day. All I do know is that I did what I was supposed to do. Everything I said that I was going to do, I've done it. That is my ethos. If you say you're going to do it, and if you can pull it off, get there. And that's what I did. I got to present day by just not enjoying the experience, but allowing myself to have the experience. I mean, it's not a most enjoyable experience, seeing your peers pass away, because, you know, somewhere in the middle of that you realise that actually you're doing so well that some of your peers are dying. All I can tell you is that, you know, prayer and meditation has served me very, very well. I'm not going to lie and say there have been more inventory, because there has. I have been very, very reactionary. I haven't hit anybody, and I haven't told anybody about themselves. But you know what? I have done a lot of writing. I have done a lot of writing. Uh, Prayer and meditation has kept it quiet. Richard, he passed away fairly recently, and one thing he asked me before he died, he said, "Well, he said, when I'm gone, he said, can you promise me that you'll always be around to give spiritual guidance, and be there for my son?" That's the only thing that he asked. So it's never about the things that you didn't get. It's about the things that you get, or the things that are in future. Never ever give up in the moment, because you know what? You don't know what's in front of you. You don't know what's about to happen next. It might not be enjoyable, but you know what? It's necessary. It has to be. It has to be. I went to a convent fairly recently, a couple of months ago, and I spent some time with the gutter monks in Worcestershire. Well, it wasn't in Worcestershire, but that's where they were from. A guy called Howard. I went to his house with another friend of mine, and I had an experience whilst in meditation, and there was a retreat coming up, so I automatically said, "Look, book me a place." And went along to this meditation. I gave it all. I gave everything I hadn't got, and I had the experience. And by day two, I got some answers to questions that I didn't even know I was asking. I got an answer to why I was so angry at God. It was because I tried to do God's job. I tried to be willful. I tried to be omnipresent. To be the man that I'm not. That only God can be. And I can't do God's job. It was Anna's destiny because she was needed somewhere else. It was Richard's destiny to pass. He also is needed somewhere else. I don't know about tomorrow. I don't know about any of that stuff. What I know is right here, right now. Yeah, this is the time when this program is really, really important. Even through the dark stuff, I can still see light. Not all the time, but if I keep working at it, then I know it's going to be okay. It has been so far. I'm going to finish now, guys. I hope somebody got something from that because you know what? It's not been my most joyous memories, but I'm still in it. I'm still conducting my life to the very best of my ability, and I've still got love in my heart for all of you. Remember that. Thank you.